Hi, my name is Jim Downey, and I feel entirely unapologetic about being Conan O'Brien's friend. And let me explain.
Okay.
There are many figures in our society who contribute an enormous amount to our culture, and people who have unconventional personal lives, and yet they seem exempt from criticism. Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
No, let me finish. Jeffrey Epstein.
I see it.
No one, criticizes him, and yet.
Oh, wait a minute.
I have to apologize for the fact that I know Conan O'Brien.
No, wait a minute.
That is a double standard.
Jim,
it's wrong.
Jim,
And
hold
it's
on.
okay.
Hold on.
Conan-
Much has been said about Jeffrey Epstein. Terrible things.
No, Jeff. I'm talking about Jeff Epstein, the New York financier.
Yes, we're talking about the same Jeff Epstein.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I never heard.
Oh, it was a big story in the news. Huge.
No.
Yes, for you to say no one ever
Jeff
said.
Epstein.
Yes.
Jeff Epstein.
Yes, the financier.
With the island.
Yes, he had an island that I've never been to. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, with respect, if there was some news about Jeff Epstein, I would have heard.
No, I don't know what rock you've been under. It was a huge story, and Jeff Epstein I have to tell you, he's gone. He's dead.
What do you mean?
He's dead.
He's dead.
He's dead.
Sorry, nice try. If Jeff Epstein were deceased, I'm pretty sure I would know about it. Now, I admit I've not. Probably since the pandemic, I have not talked to him.
That would make sense. Sense. He's been dead for a number of years, Jim.
I'll tell you, there's one easy way. Let's call Ghislaine Maxwell.
No, we're not calling Ghislaine Maxwell.
Why not? Okay.
She's in prison. She's imprisoned for crimes she committed with Jeff Epstein.
Ghislaine's in prison.
Yes. Stop calling her Ghislaine. How do you know these people? Jim.
Conan.
Jim.
All right.
Jim, listen.
Okay.
Listen
I'm
to me.
just saying, I'm your friend. You know what? Whatever you're, it doesn't matter what you do in your private or personal.
I don't do anything in my private life.
Okay. But anyway, I'm your friend.
All right. Well, thank you for the worst.
And I make no apology.
For the worst introduction to this podcast I've ever heard. Now, I'm going to put the focus on you, sir. Because I'm going to tell you something.
All right.
There are some listeners, this may shock you, who may say, I don't know of this Jim Downey because we're listened to by billions of people around the world. A lot of people in Asia, Pacific Rim countries, and they may not be familiar with Jim Downey. And I want to explain to them right now that you are considered the greatest comedy writer, possibly, of the mid to late 20th century, petering out very rapidly in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that was
when you just hit a wall. You brought me to Saturday Night Live as a young pup. You launched so many careers. You are intimidatingly funny, and you are referred to by many comedians as the great comedy writer, the great comedy writer that we all revere. And you're just going to have to accept that right now. Hey, Sona, think of all the amazing things in life that are expressions of just you.
Yeah.
I mean, like the chocolate that you had on your face when you came in because you just ate that. What was it you were eating?
I was eating a giant cookie.
Giant cookie.
Yeah.
And that's so Sona.
Okay.
Or that song you stream over and over again. That's just so you. What's that song for you?
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Yeah.
But it's for my boys, not
I know.
me.
Still, it's nice.
Okay.
Or, that podcast, that comedy podcast you just got to listen to.
Yeah, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
Exactly. Is that what you listen to in your spare time?
Yeah.
I love it. Everything that makes you makes all the difference. State Farm believes insurance should work the same way. Your plan, your coverage selections can be personalized by you and only you.
Cool.
I shouldn't shout, but this is how strongly I feel about it.
You got so aggressive.
The ability to choose the plan you want by picking the options that fit you, like choosing to bundle your home and auto policies, is what the State Farm Personal Price Plan is all about. Getting the coverage you want at an affordable price just for you. Call or go to statefarm.com today to create your State Farm Personal Price Plan. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customers. Availability and eligibility may vary. We're going to start from that premise, that concept that you are a great and fantastic comedy writer who has influenced many careers and written many sketches that are beloved. What do you think of that?
Well, that's very kind of you. I mean, the only thing I would say, I mean, they're funnier comedy, they're better comedy writers than me. I'm good enough that I could, play with them. I just felt like
who do you think was better than you?
Well, I mean, Robert Smigel is a fucking brilliant guy.
Robert Smigel is shit. But I'm saying this, listen, I'm going to say this. I'm a good friend of Robert's. Robert was the original head writer on my late night show, and Robert and I are good friends, but I tell him this almost every day. He's a piece of shit.
Okay.
He couldn't write his way out of a wet paper bag. Jack Handy, I didn't even know he was a comedy writer. Okay, well, I thought he had an ice cream concern.
Good, but you've turned me around on Jack.
But no. I would say,
Conan, you could have been the greatest ever if you weren't so fucking lazy. I mean, some weeks it was all I could do to get you to show up to work.
I'm sorry.
It's like, Conan, it's Wednesday. The others have been here since Monday. I'm tired. I did a show. Everyone did a show last week.
That is a spot-on impression. And Jim, I had other interests. I got into glass blowing, and it was something that I enjoyed. And I made you a beautiful, beautiful glass beaker. This was something that I pursued in my spare time.
I have that beaker. It's a treasured possession.
I will tell you that yes, Robert Smigel, also one of the greats of all time, Jack Handy. We could play this game forever, but I just want to walk people through your pedigree. You come to Saturday Night Live at almost the beginning, 1976. You're there for that formative 4 of those 5 seasons that begin that show. Really, the nuclear bomb blast with the classic cast. You're there. You were very young when you were hired. You were right out of college.
Yeah, I was 22.
22. And your first day of work was also Bill Murray's first day of work. Is that true?
That's right. We shared an office for 4 years, and I came. The Chevy's last 2 weeks were like my first 2 weeks, so we kind of overlapped there. And that was. I wish that it hadn't been my first 2 years of adulthood, because it was a very strange way to enter adulthood. I didn't appreciate all the stuff that was going on around me at the time.
Right.
And I would love to get to, reconfigure those early years.
I mean, you're there. John Belushi's on the cast. I remembered you telling me once, and then he got into, he started coming by with records and playing us all these old, Stax records and his blues records, and he'd sing them. And you acted annoyed when the Blues Brothers became this massive tidal wave, but you had this different perspective, which is...
I thought, the Blues Brothers, Danny Aykroyd always, he understood that it was kind of a joke. It was a goofy kind of thing to do. Although
the first time I saw it as it was really a sketch to me.
Danny was a great musician. John he got very, very serious, and he thought of himself as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny was actually really good, harmonica player and dancer. And so Danny, that began as a warm-up act for the show. And
so audiences that would come in to see Saturday Night Live, just to warm them up, that say, here are these goofy guys, the Blues Brothers. And it was really kind of a comedy sketch almost. You
get them to bring the audiences in. The show tapes live at 11:30. And the audiences, the doors close at 11. So you have to have the crew there and working. They're mixing the sound. They're doing last minute notes, and you sort of have to keep them entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would have. It was a tradition at the show that it would be done by cast members who had like hidden talents.
Mm-hmm.
In later years. We would have Maya Rudolph and Anna Gasteyer sing together.
Mm-hmm.
And But in that stage, I mean, I can't remember everything we did in the years before the Blues Brothers sort of formed. But initially, I mean, Danny may have a different take on it, but it was definitely like a comedy thing. We were having fun with it, and the audience fucking loved it because we had our house band, as I know you know,
incredible
had
house
some
band.
of the most incredible, like, you had to know a fair bit about music to write, but it would be like, wait a minute, the Howard Johnson is your tuba player, the Lou Marini, the Al Rubin, the the David Sanborn. That was our fucking house band.
Yeah,
and that was Howard Shore was the band director. And then Paul Schaefer was the keyboard player, and Steve Jordan was the drummer. Now the Stones drummer. You know, or isn't he? Is he? I think he is.
I stopped
Jordan.
following the Stones in about 1966. Did they do much after 66?
I think so.
Yeah,
I mean,
I heard there was a goat's head soup, and I didn't check it out.
But anyway, so so they backed the Blues Brothers, and then when they took it, you know, on the road national, they had Steve Cropper, from and Duck Dunn from.
But it was
Booker
so
T and
fascinating to me that what
MGs,
people don't know is it started as a sketch, and then it became the #1 selling album and a tour and this whole other thing. And I remember that record playing everywhere, those songs playing everywhere, and it became this mania. And I remembered you. See, this is an important part of my life because you get started 76. I come along in 1988, and I have a very clear memory of you brought me on with my writing partner Greg Daniels. You brought me on, and I remember walking the hallways at night when I was trying to think of an idea and seeing these iconic photos of the original cast, the 1975 to 1980 cast. You know, Chevy Chase, Aykroyd, Belushi, Lorraine Newman, Jane Curtin, you know, just this incredible group of people, and these black and white photos. And you were in a bunch of them because you were in a lot of sketches back then. They would put you in sketches because you were quite good, and they thought, let's use the kid, let's put him in there. Bill Murray. And I remember looking at those photos in 1988, 1989, and at the time I'm 24 years old, something like that. And I'm looking at these photos thinking, wow, that was like 1,000 years ago. They looked like Civil War photos to me. And this is in 1988. And I had a very clear memory of, well, I wish I had been around for that because this thing is probably at the end. I had a very clear, I'm not being a jackass or being a wise guy. I just thought, well, this probably has a few more years and I'm lucky to be a small part of it. And of course, now anyone thinking about my time there, that might as well be 100 years ago to them now, you know, young people today. It's just, it's amazing that you were there at the beginning, and the show now is about to celebrate its 50th.
Yeah, next, I was wondering how they were going to do that, but it is, I confirm that it is going to be, as it should be, February of 2025, because you were around when we did the 15th anniversary, but we did it in 1989. Yeah. And I was one of the producers. I'm going, Lauren, the show came on the air in 1975. Shouldn't this be next year, the 15th anniversary? I mean, and he told no, because if you count from, this is the 15th, you know, and but people don't think of it.
I think it's because Prince said he would do it then. And
I
literally think it was, I remembered Prince being there for that. I remembered it being, and again, I thought, wow, I'm here for the 15th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. It'll never make 20. I'll be long gone by then. Probably dead.